little startup. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Ljs Garage. I'm sitting in a 2021 Toyota Supra. I got Randy here with me and we're gonna go have some fun. We're gonna drive the Supra. We'll put the windows up later, but get some audio clips for now. That sounds pretty good. You weren't kidding about the sound.
ST.
Alright, so you had this for how long now?
About 1 month.
1 month, and you're already modifying this thing?
Shit, it was modded the first day. I already had the parts ready in the garage. I got that before the car.
You said, so I was gonna get my Supra. I already have parts on order. I like it. I'm not mad.
Well, the car was on delay. I was supposed to have it 2 months ago. That's the biggest reason. It got delayed twice. So I took delivery a couple weeks ago. I still have a lot of plans for it. Eventually get the Pure 800. Right now, just MST. Cold air intake, turbo inlets. I got the FTP charge pipe. I have the Active AutoWorks catted downpipe to undercell. So obviously this car isn't tuned yet. It doesn't give any CEL codes.
Okay, that's
the main reason why people will get that one, because this is the 21 model and essentially they are locked. You can get it tuned, but it's over $4 grand to unlock it at the moment if you want to go that route, because you have to ship your ECU essentially to Finland, get the ECU data cloned into another ECU that is compatible and tunable, and then they ship it back. You're out of a car for 3 weeks. I'm not about to wait 3 weeks for my ECU, so for right now it's on a JB4. It's a boost controller essentially, but I have a custom map through Jesse DeBeers, great guy if you ever heard of him.
And for the people that don't know, so a JB4 is a piggyback.
Yes.
And so what does that really mean for people when they put that system on their car?
So it's essentially a boost controller. It doesn't overwrite your ECU. It doesn't change all those parameters. You can only adjust boost by RPM or gear, I guess. You can mess with duty bias. I mean, you can run a little bit of ethanol. It's not an official tune, whereas the dealership will be able to detect that it was tuned. There are ways they can tell that it was, like boost was altered, maybe higher boost spikes than what the car typically would call for. But it's harder to prove and hold against you. So some people will like to go this route, hoping that their warranty will be valid. Now, you can essentially still have it void with this. I mean, you want to take it off before you take it in for servicing. But here it's a better process to go through if you ever want to go through warranty work.
That makes sense. So it really is just a plug-and-play system.
Yeah.
Whenever you're ready, just pull it right off.
Yep.
So that's pretty awesome.
Connected it to 3 sensors, and that was it.
Okay. And I did already have a 335. I'm just asking these questions. For those of you that are new to Supras, new to BMW, new to tuning as a whole, this is what the JB4 system offers. So I'm not going to talk about it. I like letting the co-host that I have, which is Randy today, share all these things so I can sit back and enjoy the ride. I'm lazy today. What else? As far as the cosmetics though, what do you think of this car stock? And do you think it's beautiful? Do you think they did all right? What are your true thoughts on the looks?
I honestly love the way the car looks, and I love the way that it drives. I mean, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a beginner's car, especially if you start modding, but stock, I mean, it's a great car. A lot of people will be pleased just to keep it stock. I mean, it runs really well. Great handling, as you guys already know. I love it. I got lucky with this one. There are going to be haters out there that don't like the fact that it's a BMW, essentially, which it is. I mean, it's like 98, 99% BMW, but there's nothing wrong with that. BMW is great. My last car was BMW. As long as you service it the way you're supposed to, the car is going to be good for you. It's going to be great to you.
Damn.
Building here, when I see right there.
All right.
It's showing 2-3 psi.
And I know you told me earlier. So what's target boost and what do you have it at now? Well, you said it's not tuned yet. You don't have.
Yeah,
you're not running the JB4.
It's not tuned, but it's gonna have more boost in stock. So essentially, for the 21 and up, I believe they call for around 16 psi, but it depends on weather conditions, temperatures. Right now, it might only be calling for 12 or 13. My logs are showing that lately when it's colder out. But with the current settings that I have right now on map 6, I mean, I'm probably pushing around 20 psi. You know, at its peak, you know, 93, maybe E20 mix. But if I'm on an E30 map, you know, I'd say 21, 22 psi is about the peak.
And then as far as the charge pipe goes, you said you did this has a replaced charge pipe, but you said it's not really needed in these, or they've been proving to hold up better than previous BMW charge pipes.
That's exactly it. They do tolerate really well if you're just on minor bolt-ons, you know, safe relative tune. But if you're gonna, you know, throw a turbo upgrade, get a pure 800, 850, whatnot, you want to change your charge pipe. You want to upgrade it to it. It's still plastic, but it's a thicker plastic than some of the older models.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I like it. It's a good cosmetic add-on. It's nice. You know, it's peace of mind knowing that it's a lot safer because aluminum versus plastic. There you go.
Big time difference.
And for those of you that want performance out of it, no, you're not going to gain power, but you might notice a little extra, you know, response out of it. So it's a good add-on.
I like it.
Get the supporting mods. It's definitely a must when it comes to these cars, especially if you plan on modding.
Yeah. So I know, as far as your experience with the Supra, how were you a big fan of the previous generation, the Mark IV? I mean, how did you feel? Like, I know a lot of people felt disappointed, but I know that you and I, we're not necessarily like purebred JDM guys. We like a little bit of everything. You've even had the Mustang, the Q60. You know, you've been all around the block. You've even had Korean cars, so you've had a little bit of everything. So do you think it makes a difference in how you like look at this car? You're not very like...
It's modern times, man, and this is, you know, a lot of BMW components. I know a lot of people won't consider it true JDM. I still love it. I mean, great body, great performance out of it. I haven't had the privilege of driving an MK4 in the past. I mean, but
that's the crazy thing. Most people haven't even, and they say that they just. It's easy to say that it's not like the old one when you know that BMW parts are to play, and I get that. I really do, but I think with people LS swapping things and putting two JZs in places they don't even need to be, you know, it's like, all right, it's the engine is the engine, but the soul of the car, I feel like this still feels very Toyota. It still feels very Japanese.
I love it. I mean, the last few cars I had the 2020 MT35. I had, you know, Q60 Red Sport, AMS Stage 3. You know, 2019 Mustang GT full bolt-on 85, 2011 Mustang GT full bolt-on 85 cams. So I've driven a lot of them out there. I mean, and I came from Miami. I've had other JB cars. I've driven S2000s. I had a Integra GSR. So I like the JDM scene. I don't see too much of it over here in Illinois.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I feel like there's like the car guys that are big on one specific cars, and then there's like the well-rounded car guys, and I feel like you check that box of you like a little bit of everything. You know, everyone's gonna love big V8s. You've been there, done that. You know, I'm sure even if you see a Camaro, you're not gonna be like, ew, a Camaro. You still like something about a Camaro. So I feel like that's why we've been friends for so long, because we just trade in cars, get something new, and we just appreciate, you know, everything that they have.
Appreciate all cars and try them all out before you judge. Don't go by what you read online. I mean, at least test drive it at the minimum before making that decision.
Did you get a chance to drive this before you bought it?
I've had a ride in the car before. It was 2020.
So just a ride and you were sold.
And it was a 2020, which is the Gen 1 B58, which is a 2-port version.
And you were impressed by just that. Yeah.
And you knew the guy too. That was that being before he sold it.
Okay.
Great car. I mean, I thought it was amazing. I was surprised. It really was.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm going to go straight.
So it's kind of a weird, and you can take this pretty slow if you want. It's a pretty windy road. What I'm doing now is I've got this road that I call my own little Nürburgring here in Illinois, and I'm letting Randy see this road before I get a chance to drive the Supra, and then I'm going to take him in the M3 and show him a little bit more of like what that's about, so I can get his opinions. Let him drive that and see what if it feels more German or Japanese, and he can kind of see the best of both worlds. It's coming up here on this right, and yeah, it's just fun. I love driving more for the cornering. Randy's definitely going to build this thing to be a monster, which is what Toyota really wanted. And so I'm excited to see the next time I get into this car what it's going to be like, because I think that people love the horsepower race in the Supra, and this is just a perfect platform for it. But yeah, just you'll fly over this hill if you go too fast. I'll flip this thing around. Oh, slow down, slow.
That's not too bad.
but you will fly. You will fly.
This is a nice spot. I wish I knew about it earlier.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Like I said, and you can have a good time back here. It's nothing too crazy, but it's just enough to kind of see what cars can do without a real track.
I'll have to come back here soon.
And I've driven this probably over 40 times now, so it's ingrained in my muscle memory at this point. But yeah, this is a good place to test out. You know, the good thing with the Supra is it's I think it's like 51% in the front and then whatever 49% in the rear, so it's almost perfect 50-50 balance. And so I think that makes this such a great track machine in itself. And how do you feel about the automatic? Do you enjoy the 8-speed automatic? You know, do you feel like it gets the job done? Do you ever feel like you need more?
So with the 8-speed auto and drive, if that's what do you mean specifically, like if it's in drive or just
either one
in general?
Both opinions will work.
It's a great trans. It's probably the fastest shifting trans I've ever used, and I came from using a 10-speed Mustang GT at one point. It's really aggressive, but it also has BIMR code. I mean, it has almost hit a squirrel. Oh shit, that's
we break for animals around here.
Suicidal. Anyways, I like driving it in manual mode almost at all times, especially if I'm in sport mode. But if I just trying to get to work, I mean, I'll put it in drive, but I'll slap it in normal, because sport mode is pretty much meant for track, and it will keep that RPM probably over 3 grand majority of the time, even if you're cruising over there on the highway or even in the city. So it'll just tear up your fuel economy. Remember, I'm running a little bit of ethanol right now, so.
I gotcha. No, that's a pretty good opinion on it. I think that, yeah, they've been. I mean, even Jeep uses the ZF now, so that just shows you that it's bulletproof. It's a great transmission.
Manual mode is the closest thing I get to a manual. I mean, I was brought up driving manual. I've been driving manual almost 20 years, and I just get real, bored just keeping it in drive.
Yeah,
so
you just want to do more than putting your foot
thing,
down, gas brake. So it's nice to have the third pedal, or at least a feeling of being able to control what gear is best for things. All right, then.
But very easy to mod, very quick. There's actually plenty of clearance on here, even if you want to do a turbo upgrade. I mean, the clearance is amazing. You can do that on your own. You can probably get it done in less than an hour or two. It's a joke. It's really easy to work with. I had more trouble working on the 2020 F44 MT35 and the Q60 Red Sport. I mean, there was almost no clearance in there.
Right.
And the irony on that one is that the MT35, that's a 4-cylinder B48, and like I said, no clearance. This one's a B58, inline 6, plenty of room. So this is definitely a car that you would like to mod on your own.
Yeah, and if you guys have any questions on the B58, I'm gonna link one of my buddy's channels. He's got I think it's a man. I know it's a 6-speed B58, and it's the 440i. Dude's awesome. He makes great content out there for the B58, and trust me, if you're planning to do tuning, any of that stuff, I'm gonna link his channel. He's a Cincinnati local, so yay Ohio. I'm not really an Ohio native, but I'm gonna pretend like I am for the short time. But yeah, I mean, as far as anything else you want to tell people about this car before we get some cool shots and have fun with this thing?
Before you judge the car, give it a shot, man. Try to get a test drive from somebody you know. See if you're lucky. Maybe the dealership will let you do it. It's a fun car, and it doesn't have to be just for a straight line. It's a great handling car too. I feel more confident in this car than I have with my last few. I mean, it's planted really well, especially if you're stock. You start modding the car, you're going to want to upgrade the tires. The tires are good, for stock, but you're already maxing out based off its power. They claim 386 crank for this car.
382, something like that.
It actually dynos around 380, 390 to the wheels, so it really makes over 430, 440 crank. But then again, BMWs have always been underrated, and you know what? That's a good thing this time, right? Well, there you go.
That's all I got. Nice. I appreciate the ride along, and like I said, we're gonna go do some pulls and stop talking about this car and just let Randy show us what this thing can do. Let's slow down over that hill, yeah. Damn.
Feels good.
Feels great.
Glad you're in the car. You use that extra weight, even just 100 pounds, that really does help with that traction. Yeah, that was nice.
Got enough to make my seatbelt work.
Gotta get that rematch with Bell. You're gonna get that rematch, buddy. Car's fast though.
This car is very fast.
E63 AMG S. Amazing.
Both of your cars are quick.
Oh, well, thank you. With manual before they go into an automatic, because it doesn't matter how much you build them. I mean, if you learn how to drive stick and you master that and you go to the track often, I mean, an automatic is not going to be any harder. It's going to be a lot easier to control.
Exactly.
So the best thing is, I mean, no matter how good of a driver you are, your car has a lot of power. You're going to spin, especially on street tires, but it's about controlling, you know, where it goes when it does. And
yeah,
as long as it stays in its lane while it's spinning, then so be it.
I can already tell this car is super nimble.
What I like is a personality change when you switch it from sport to normal. It wasn't as drastic in my MT35. With this, I mean, in normal mode, just it feels a lot more smooth.
Big time.
Steering feels way obvious of a difference.
Imagine they made a fast car with weak brakes.
Different when you're on the passenger side. It's awesome.
I honestly feel like these are the two best like brands that could make a car together, other than like BMW and Porsche making a car. I feel like Toyota knows how to do track cars just as great as BMW knows how to do, you know, make great engines. So they did their magic on the suspension, and this works. So I'm excited to take it on those back roads and see how it feels. Straight line, I already know it's got it. Do you play around with the different like suspension modes at all, or no, not really?
My individual mode, it's on Sport Plus. I'm gonna raise that for suspension and steering. But I like it in manual mode more when it comes to turns. I just like having more control over the RPM. But the good thing about Sport mode is it's ready. I mean, that's what it's meant for. You know, it's not gonna be an economy saver, but it's definitely way more fun.
Yeah, big time. I like this a lot. I feel like this is what the old M3 used to be like, which I know that's a kind of a bad word right now to
no,
use.
That's M3. Actually one of the best ones they had. You're talking about the NA one, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's so small, it moves well. Like it's just a dream to drive this thing. It's comfortable. Like sports cars that try to do too many things at once kind of mess up, but this doesn't mess up really anything, I feel like. I will say this has the blind spot visibility and all that stuff is I'd say it's not the best. You kind of have to remember to peek over your corners and check your blind spots in this, because you look out the rear window and you see the ground basically. It's hard to see what's really behind you. And this one you got, I don't know if you can, in the BMWs you can normally set it to where you put in Sport Plus, it turns traction control off. Can you do that in this?
To be honest, that's one thing that I don't know. I haven't actually checked.
I'd have to play around with the settings and stuff.
I always turn it off though. Yeah. Because it does cut a lot of power if it's not on, at least on individual setting. Yeah. Actually, you should probably do that. You'll feel a difference. And have some fun with the paddles or manual mode if it works. That's my favorite.
The sport button is huge.
Yeah, it is.
And then I was like, slow down. Feels different from the passenger side, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You're like, oh my god, don't kill us.
Got some confidence on this though. I like the center of gravity on
it. Good brakes.
Love that spool sound. That's always nice. Yes, we do not have oh shit handles in this car.
This is nice.
She feels really good.
It feels great. Dude, this is my favorite car.
Not too sketched out in this one. I don't mind.
Oh my god, dude, what are you doing to me?
Well, this car's a little bit heavier too, though. I'd be a little more sketched out. But his car has a lot of power. I mean, and it's an all-wheel drive. His car will hook. He'll catch anything.
This feels so good.
I'm just enjoying the ride. I didn't do this earlier because I didn't know the road. I don't know how it is. So
you'll definitely have to come back, dude. I'm telling you. This is
very nice.
Good brakes. I see what you mean though, where it does feel like it wants to slide so much, but it's like it's right on the brink. It always walks that line of will it slide? What won't it slide?
It'll spin, but it'll recover pretty fast.
Jeez, it feels so good. And it doesn't even slip that much.
No.
Just enough to like give you that fun, like that smiley feel. You're like, oh, exactly. I'm sliding, but then it's like it's not really gonna let you do anything.
3 complete different levels that are all exaggerated from each other. TC on, you won't slip at all, and it cuts a lot of power. You just do the tap partially off. It'll give you a slight little slip for the happy feeling, but it'll get most of its power on there. If you turn it completely off, on these tires it will spin. I've tried. Which I don't do often, but
it feels so good. I'd have to really drive the original Supra, or what we consider the original Supra here in the States, and see what that's like, to see if, you know, if it's really lost its spirit, if it doesn't feel very Japanese. But I don't know, I feel like this is just all around good. Blind everywhere.
And the MK4, I mean, that was ahead of its time though. People will say, oh, 20, you know, over 20 years old. Well, it was definitely ahead of its time when it came out, and it's still a great car. It's still a freaking great engine. Still #1 in my eyes. It takes so much power, so much punishment on that. There's a reason why it's worth so much. You know, it's not just because of Fast and the Furious. That did help though.
Yeah, you'll see though, because it's like the M3 feels like a muscle German car versus this. This feels like a true. It feels like something Porsche and very like track oriented, but it doesn't feel like Camaro, Mustang, like big brawny. It's just a fun light car. I don't know. There's just so much good stuff about this. I think people should just be happy we're getting these cars, and even Ford is right now at the end of this era. They're just putting out. I know that's a good back.
It's the first time I've heard it.
A little backfire there.
First time I've gotten it. But then again, I just put the downpipe, so.
And honestly, even with this little JB4, I feel like I don't feel like it's like throwing the car off any. Like the car still feels good, it feels strong, it feels healthy. And it doesn't feel like over the top where it's like some tuner cars kind of get very like dramatic. Kind of like if you find a modified STI, it doesn't feel the same as this.
So to reiterate on that with this map, at least for the audience, so mine is a custom map, and I have it set as a linear build, so it'll grip better versus just spin city, because you know spinning ain't winning, right? So I have it set on low boost at lower RPMs. You don't get peak boost until, you know, around 5,500 around there, and then it tapers off real quick. I only have maybe 3 pounds over stock for, you know, the first half of when you accelerate for the most part.
Yeah,
it's a nice safe map. I just have something safe and fun, you know, for good spirited driving. I can go further and do E40. I don't even have the full exhaust done yet, so. But it's a fun car. I like it the way it is right now. I still have bigger plans for it, but the winter's coming now. We're already in October, and we're already seeing 40s at night. So, you know, I'm about to put some all-weather tires in and take a little break and start maybe modding more on the exterior side, because I did performance first. Now I'm working on cosmetics and saving up for, you know, turbo upgrade once the you know, the ECUs unlock, where you could do a bench unlock locally, which is a lot cheaper. So for now, I'm just gonna have some fun with what I have now. I don't want to mod too much too quick, and yeah, I love it. I like the way it is.
God, I just put it back in normal mode just to see how that feels, and it's so cool just having multiple cars. It's like having a crazy girlfriend with split personalities.
I gotta tell you, man, normal mode in this car, I don't feel potholes like I do with my M235. That thing, oh my god, you would shut the door, loud bang, like those old 80s, 90s cars.
Yeah.
And that's a BMW. I mean, people make fun of it and say, oh, Mini Cooper engine. Well, essentially, the Mini Cooper has a BMW engine. It's a V48. And with that car, it was an all-wheel drive. I mean, roughly the same weight, maybe 150, 200 pounds more than this one, but I would feel potholes, and that was a 2020 M235. This car, it feels smooth. It feels luxury when you actually hit bumps, at least in normal mode.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I feel like that's a key thing is like you are getting a little bit more luxury. You're kind of getting something around a Lexus quality and BMW quality in a Toyota. So you're avoiding all that, you know, just if you go in the regular Supra, I've been inside of them, and it just feels like a 90s car. This feels like something, like you said, well built, truly, you know, upscale a little bit.
Now, one thing I will add that I don't like about this car, I'm not just going to say all the good things, obviously I want to be, you know, true.
Yeah, that was the next part, yeah.
So they don't come with Android Auto for this car. It comes with Apple CarPlay.
Still doesn't either.
Yeah,
that's why.
But some people aren't aware of that until they already buy the car. So it takes, you know, extensive research to find some of the cons. Sometimes, especially if you don't watch review videos, that's one thing that would suck. But it's not a deal breaker. I mean, it's not a big deal. I have a phone mount. You know, the gauge is up on my phone. GPS works just fine with the, you know, the screen that it has, and you can see it on the heads-up display there as well for GPS, if anything. But Android Auto, don't have it. That's the unfortunate part. And like you said, it's a BMW thing. Hopefully that gets fixed soon or changed in the future. Otherwise, there are hacks to make it work. Not exactly sure if I'll ever actually go through with that process, though. I've seen the videos, and you got to take, you know, the infotainment system out, and yeah, there's stuff you got to do with it. But
what do you think of like the gauge cluster being so simple and straightforward? Do you like that it's not over the top with all this information, or do you like do you prefer and wish that it was more, you know, modern?
So I felt like my M235 had a more modern, you know, gauge display up front, and I didn't care for a lot of the stuff that it has. I mean, remember, I'm an 80s baby, and I grew up with some of the older cars. I know you have too, and I'm used to, you know, analog versus digital.
Yep.
So it's digital, it's nice, but I like it being simplified. Like all the extra safeties that this car comes with as a BMW, essentially, I don't even ever have that on. I mean, it's just, I'm not used to it. I didn't grow up with it. If I do a road trip, maybe I'll use them, but other than that, I like it to be simple and straight to the point. It's nice to have all these nice extra features in there, but for people like me, I personally don't use them all.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Just good to have, though, especially if you have, you know, like your wife driving, you know, or your buddy, you know, and you're doing a road trip and you want to rotate turns. You know, it's good to have it for them, if anything. But that's just my opinion on it. I like it off. So,
like honestly, the only downside I'd say is just the size of it. I wish it didn't feel so tight in here for me, because I'm only like a little bit bigger than you, but I feel like I'm a huge guy. Like I'm like, oh man, this is the first car that's made me feel like a big dude. Because I'll get in like my Jeep and everything, and I'll feel so small and tiny in that. And even in the M3, we'll gut in that one, and you'll see, you'll be like, wow, there's so much room in here. But yet they're so similar and different, and they don't feel at all the same. Like that BMW feels like a BMW. This feels like a Toyota BMW collaboration, which is exactly what it is. And I think you get the best of both. You get Japanese handling and Japanese, like, you know, design, and that's tuning. Yeah. That's, I mean, some people think Japanese design is better than German, but I mean, that's a whole nother debate. I think Mercedes, Audi, all that stuff versus the JDM brands, that would be a whole video debating on which one's got the better design cars. But no, I appreciate you letting me drive this thing. I had a lot of fun, and this is still on my list. Like if I ever hit the jackpot and I can afford having this in my garage, this would definitely be the car that I would modify, do all the fun stuff, and have this as my track car. I think this just does everything so well, and I can't wait to, you know, find someone who buys the manual first so I can drive it, and then really kind of see the difference. But yeah, I don't know. Nice. This is too nice. It's a head turner.
You can get the manual though. I mean, I'm a manual guy by heart. That's what I grew up with. I would choose that if you can get it for the same price. But I also grew up in the past where manual was cheaper than automatic. You would have to pay extra for an auto. That's changed, and now you gotta pay maybe 5-10K markup to get the manual version of this car. I can't justify paying that difference, but if it was the same price, I would have picked that. Yeah, hands down. I mean, just so much more fun, in my opinion. But,
yeah. And hopefully, if we got time today, you guys will see 2 videos on this M3 or M3. I'm messing it all up now. They're gonna be like, "Damn, this guy said an M3." But later today, hopefully, we've got some time before the sun goes down. I'm gonna have 2 videos on this Supra. One is just gonna be a walk around for those of you that are shopping for one and maybe don't know what features and, you know, the bells and whistles that this has to offer. More of that type of walk around, and this is just me and Centron having the fun time driving this car. And so 2 different videos, 2 different vibes. Be sure to check them both out if you're a big Supra fan, and let us know what you guys think. You know, did Toyota and BMW do a good job? And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, be sure to leave them down below, and I'll forward them to this guy over here so he can let you know how wrong you are. Just kidding. No, he's a nice guy, so if you have any questions, I'll link his Instagram here, and you can talk to him about Supra stuff and maybe pick his brain on what he's learned and what he, you know, his plans are for the car if you're curious.